Well, hello, and welcome back. If you're joining in live via YouTube, I have got the comments open. If you're on Twitch or Facebook and you want to comment or add questions live, go ahead and check the link in the description and head on over there. And if you're not joining in live, check in the description for the Beyond Code Bootcamp playlist, where you will probably be able to find this edited with any of the goofos taken out. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Well, hello, and welcome back. In the last video, I forgot to mention our good friend Git Log, and so I wanted to take a minute to mention that. Here we are in our directory that has our Git database. So let me just see an LL here, and we can see there's our Git database folder right there, and there's all of our work for our blog. And let's say that I were to make a late night mistake. So I'm going to open up my template.html. I meant to make some change and I accidentally deleted this line. I come back a little bit later and I decide that I'm going to add a new blog article, maybe more Git, and I add it in and it's good, it's fine, everything's great. And then I do something silly. I check Git Status. I see, oh, yeah, I made that modification in template.html, thinking that I was finished with it because I remember what I was going to do. I just forgot to do it. And then I add in my more Git, and I go ahead and do a commit. And if I'm not so smart, I might label it something like late night commit, because I'm just so foggy-headed, I'm not even thinking straight. I'm just like, I need to save this work. Pro tip, if you're doing that, put WIP in front as a common convention. It means work in progress. It means that you haven't yet had the mental wherewithal to finish testing. Well, either finish the code because you had to walk away for some reason but you want it saved, or you didn't test it, so you don't know for sure that it works. So it's really just a work in progress if it's not been tested to work. Anyway, let's say that we got that. Now, if I go and look at my Git log, which I do by typing git log, we're going to see that I already did this video before, and so I already have some commits like that in here, but we're going to ignore that for the second. So what we're going to see is a list of all the different versions of the database. And in fact, we can do git log -- and then give it a file path like template.html, and we can see all of the versions in which that file changed. And we can go to, let's say, let's look at our How Domains Work article. Let's look at our Intro to Mastering Markdown article. Whoops. I'm going to clear my screen and run that again. And we can see there's only one commit that's referenced in. So we can use git log to see what files, or when files were edited and what the message was when they're edited. And there's also another tool very similar called Git Blame. This one will actually go line by line of the file and tell us when it was changed. So if we look at our How Domains Work article, I'd actually edited this off camera. And so you can see that there are actually different commit references and different dates on the different lines. So it's showing every single line of the file. So for reference, let me go ahead and put out How Domains Work to the screen. So here you can see these are the lines of the file. And you can see that those are the same lines of the file that we see with Git Blame. So Git Log and Git Blame allow us to check our history. And it's really easy to remember Git Blame because it's literally the command you use to find out who did this, who made this stupid mistake, so that you can see your own name by it and not be empowered to go blame a coworker because it was actually you all along. Anyway, so with that, if we look at Git Log, these are the commit references. Typically, we only need to use the first couple of matching letters, but I actually want to completely reset the commit that I made that was just a bad commit. So what I'm going to do is copy the previous commit where things were good. And I'm going to type git reset and then paste the first typically 5, 6, 7 letters. And what that did is it shows us that now the file is changed, meaning that we just forgot about the version that we had. The file is still the same on disk, so it's still the same broken file. If I go and take a look here, it's still missing our content, but it's been reset so that if we do a checkout, it'll give us the good version. And the way that we can see this is with Git Diff. So I'm actually introducing 4 commands here. There's Git Log, Git Blame, Git Reset, Git Diff. So Git Diff, let me actually clear the screen here. Git Diff will show us what's the difference between the current file and the file that we have saved in the database. Well, the current file is missing this line. Okay. So let's just go ahead and do a git checkout of that file. Oh, this was the other thing I was going to say. Let's go back to the log. Let's go back to a time when I know that that file was working. Well, I know it was working the last time we did this video. So I'm going to select this, the first several letters of this commit reference, and then I'm going to quit out of there. By the way, I've been hitting Q to quit out of that. And then I'm going to do a git checkout, and then I'm going to paste the first several letters of that reference where I know that it was working, and then put my dash dash, and then put my template.html. And the reason that we do this, now we're getting into why the dash dash. When you do a git checkout, you can check out by an exact reference or by a named reference. There's 2 types of named references. One is called tags and the other is called branches. We'll talk more about those later, but it's very common to have a branch called something like test. And it's very common to have a folder called something like test. So if we just did git checkout test, Git would be confused. It would say, well, do you want to check out the branch test and all of its files? Or do you want to check out the current revision of the folder test and just those files? And so when we use git checkout with the dash dash, it knows that whatever comes before the dash dash is a reference, no matter whether it's a named reference or a hash reference. And it knows that what comes after the dash dash is either a file or directory that you want to operate on. So that's why we do the dash dash. Anyway, I'm going to check that out. And now if I do a git status, we can see that the file no longer appears to be modified. And if we look at the template, we can see that, again, what we expected to be there is back there again. And then we could restart over with whatever our change was. So last thing on this before we go, let me go back into the Git log. What I'd actually done before is just what we saw now, where I had made a late night commit here, where I messed up the template.html, and then I made another commit where I fixed it. So I added the file back with git add and did another git commit, and I fixed it. So what I actually want to do is I actually just want to go back to, I just want to get rid of this junk because it's kind of confusing to read through. It's not very helpful. I just want to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is a git reset, and then this commit to the last time everything was working just great. I'm going to hit enter. And now when I do git status, I can see, oh, in some of those, so there was some junk, some bad stuff that happened in these commits, but there was also one good thing, which was that I updated my how domains work and I added my more git article. Well, in truth, my more git article isn't at all finished yet. I don't want to publish it, so I'm just going to get rid of it, not worry about it. So I do git status, that's not there anymore, which leaves me with the how domains work. So I'll do git diff, and I'll check and see what did I do. Oh, I added a title. That's nice. So I'll do git add, how domains work, and then do git commit, add title to how domains work. Okay. And now if I look at my git log, it got rid of all of the versions back to add article on Git, which we did in the last video, and then it just added one new version. So Git Reset is good. because it can help us keep things clean if we want to keep things clean. What you'll notice early on in your career is you'll come across a lot of repositories where there's, say, literally 20 commits in a row where somebody just put progress as the message, and that's not very helpful. So it's nice to be able to sometimes just reset back to where there was a useful message and say, okay, now that I'm past progress and I actually did the thing I was working on, I put a message there that makes sense, like what we did here. Anyway, we'll go more into that later. It'll become more apparent why we want to do that. But I just wanted to show you how to use Git Log, Git Blame, Git Reset, Git Diff, because I forgot about it before, and they're kind of important. So with that, if this was useful for you, if it helped you out, go ahead and give it a like. You can subscribe either to the live channel or the Beyond Code Bootcamp channel with the playlist, or both. Go ahead and hit the bell if you don't want to miss a beat. And I think that concludes our session for the night. Oh, one more thing. If something was great for you, I would love for you to put a comment, especially if you could link with the time code to what it was, or if something was really unclear and didn't work for you, I'd love the same. Of course, if you don't want to go back and find the time code, that's fine. I'm more important in knowing what worked well for you, what didn't work well for you, and what other questions do you have either about Git or building out our blog. I look forward to hearing back from you. You have the best night ever. Adios.